teams are trickling back in for the commencement of off-season programs. So what that means is as they come through the door, there will be press conferences. There will be opportunities for coaches and players to talk about whatever happens to come up. And in Houston, you heard it at the outset, Lovie Smith, new head coach of the Texans, believes in Davis Mills. He is their quarterback. Now, we have heard puffery before, and we've got the draft coming up. We don't know what the Texans are going to do. Smoke screens run rampant in the NFL. Did you see enough from Davis Mills last year to think that it would be justified to give him full season, wire to wire as starter?
Well, I actually saw his first game as a starter against Carolina in Houston. That was when the whole Deshaun, when they thought, because Tyrod Taylor got hurt, is Deshaun Watson going to be the quarterback? And the answer was a resounding no. It's Davis Mills' job. And I remember doing that game, and Mills looked very shaky in the first half. But in the last 2 minutes of the half and then the second half, they kind of let him throw in more of a hurry-up offense where he had to think less, which was, I think, a better way to go when you're just starting out in the league. And he did pretty well. So I think he got a decent base. And you see 13, I think it was 13 games. He played 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Did he light the world up? No. Did he make you feel somewhat secure? I think he did. But the issue is, Mike, is what are you relying on? If you're going to have a quarterback like Davis Mills, you got to have a good running game. You got to be very balanced, because it's very difficult to say we expect you when you weren't expected to be the guy, and now you are the guy, given our circumstances, that we can rely completely on you. So this has got to be a well-balanced offense to give him the best opportunity. Do I think Davis Mills is going to be the guy that is going to lead this team back to whatever? We know they've won divisions when Bill O'Brien was the coach there. I'm not sure, but what he's getting, and it's all any player can ask for, unless you're a first rounder and you're going to get that opportunity. Other than that, you want an opportunity, you want a chance, and he's getting it. So more power to him. I mean, it's in his hands to kind of mold his future. Will it be as a guy who can be relied on as a starting quarterback, or will it not? I mean, so now the talent around him isn't going to be the greatest in the world, but it doesn't matter. It's on his shoulders right now. He is the leader in that huddle to kind of make things happen. So I thought he did a fine job. Again, for a guy that wasn't expected to play all the games that he did, I thought he did a fine job. Did I think they were going to go out and maybe try and get themselves a quarterback? Yeah, I thought they did. And they didn't. So, of course, the next progression is, hey, Davis Mills, it's your gig.
The Texans are in a very unique situation. The owner doesn't seem to be expecting much. No one seems to be expecting much. Right. There are 13 contenders in the AFC going into this season. The Texans, Jaguars, and Jets are the three in the AFC that I would peg as don't waste your time this year. Focus on building something for the future. And I feel like with Jack Easterby so firmly in charge as a practical matter of the football operation, even though he has learned to stay out of the spotlight, life is easier for him if he doesn't try to be front and center in charge, but more of a puppet master in charge, and a guy who has Cal McNair kind of under his spell and McNair's on board. It gives GM Nick Caserio time to understand and be very self-aware. We're not going to be a great team this year. Let's make do with what we have. Let's build for the future. Let's try to get competitive 23, 24, 25. And if there isn't a quarterback out there that we think is going to make a huge difference, let's wait. Let's get through this season. We got to put the guys on the field. We got to play the games. We're going to cash the checks. We're going to make money. We get our 1/32nd share of the broadcasting revenue no matter how bad we are. Let's go forward with what we have, and we'll wait for the right moment to get a quarterback that will carry us into the future, whoever it may be. So I know every team wants to win the Super Bowl every year. They have to tell us that. But the Texans can deliberately, and I'm not saying tank, just accept who they are and what they are. Let's not get too crazy about trying to be great too soon and compromise our future. You know, instead of drafting guys, they're going to come in right now and burn hot. Let's get guys that we can build with. Let's get guys that we expect to reach their peaks in 2 or 3 years. I just feel like they alone in today's NFL, because for most other teams, it's do it now, do it now, do it now. Texans have the luxury to take a step back and be strategic, which means you could go for a season or two with Davis Mills and see what he becomes. If he doesn't become anything, that's when you make your move. Until then, we got to have somebody playing quarterback. May as well be him.
But how much time can you be afforded? Listen, there actually used to be 5-year plans in the NFL. And then there would be 3-year plans in the NFL. And now you're lucky if it's a 3-year plan in the NFL. So while I agree with you, what you're saying, listen, we saw what this team did with Bill O'Brien. They won some division titles, so the expectation was to keep going. But then we know that the tents basically folded when you get rid of DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt, and obviously you don't expect what's happening to your quarterback and Deshaun Watson to happen, but it did. So your best players on offense and defense are basically gone. So you have to basically rebuild, and I get it. And what you said is correct. You can be strategic, but you know what you better be? You better be good. You better be, and I don't mean on the field, you better be good at being strategic. You better know what's out there, and I'm sure everybody does. But what's the plan? There's got to be a plan in place. Now, we'll see with Davis Mills and what he shows, but what's the plan on quarterbacks that might be free agents or maybe in the draft in the next year or the year after that? What free agents potentially are coming up at other positions that you're going to be able to get? Where are you going to go in the draft? And you're right, they don't have to come in red hot right out of the gate, but you can have a plan, but you got to execute the plan. And in today's NFL, you have to execute the plan at a very quicker rate than what was done back in the day a little bit. You know, your clock is running at a faster pace now, where if you don't get it done, man, they're going to move on from you as a player, you as a coach, you as a GM, whatever it's going to be, they're going to move on. So they are in that position. I agree with you, like Jacksonville and like the Jets. But you know what? Time's always ticking, Mike. Time is always ticking, and you're only going to get so much of it.
But here's the reality. There's only one person who matters when the time comes to decide who's getting how much time, and that's the boss. And this is one of the basic realities for every NFL team. There is an owner who cannot be fired. There is an owner who holds final and complete authority over all decisions that are made. So to the extent, Mike Golic, that Cal McNair is all in with Jack Easterby, and that Jack Easterby, with that, is it silver tongue or golden tongue? I guess gold is better. Platinum tongue. I mean, whatever it is that he says that gets people won over to him quickly, and that's his reputation. He's a guy who can get people through the big personality and great interpersonal skills. If he's got Cal McNair wrapped around his little finger, then however it goes, Jack Easterby's going to sell it to Cal McNair as exactly what they need to keep doing. We need to stay the course. We need to stay the course. And look, there's two ways you can get an NFL team. One, have enough money to buy one. Two, be in the right genetic sequence to inherit it. And there's no requirement. There's no test that you have to take. You at least have to go take a test to learn how to drive a car. You have to take no test to inherit an NFL franchise. Just, do you have the requisite DNA to match the person who is handing it to you? That's it. That's it. So, I don't know how good of an owner Cal McNair is going to be, but if I was a Texans fan, I'd be very concerned about the team under him based upon where it's been the past few years. But back to my point, as long as Cal McNair is fine with it, it continues as long as he wants it to. Now, you may get a fan revolt. You may have no one show up for your games. You may have no one watch your games on local TV. But like I said, you're still going to get your 1/32 of the TV money no matter what you do. You can never win a game again and still get 1/32 of the TV money.
So, Mike, this goes again. We had this conversation last week. I think it was either last week or the week before, of owners that want to win and owners that love the bottom line. Now, there were some that have both. They want to win titles and they want to have a great bottom line. But you said it, you get 1/32 of a whole lot of revenue, right? They didn't have to pay DeAndre Hopkins big money, didn't have to pay Deshaun Watson big money. They're not paying a lot of big money out there, and they're going to make a lot of big money. So you're right. If an owner is satisfied with that, albeit, you do get the fan revolt every now and then. But listen, NFL is still king. Fans still go to the stadium. They're the ones that ultimately can decide by not going and not contributing to that team, that and advertisers. So as long as they're doing that, and as long as the bottom line is nice, fat, and juicy, then so be it, man. Some owners, as I stated before, I had one in Philly, in Norman Brayman, that as long as they were getting their dollar, as long as that bottom line was filled, they were cool. And if every now and then along the way they happen to fall into one and win, great, so be it. As I said, there are plenty of owners out there who are trying desperately to win the Lombardi Trophy, desperately to win it. But to say 31, again, because Green Bay is publicly owned, to say all 31 are, that'd be a stretch. That would be a stretch. I think there were some that are very happy to see, what revenue is going in their pocket.
It would be fascinating to see what kind of studies teams have done regarding profitability in years the team was good and profitability in years the team was bad. Because I suspect somewhere, somehow, there's been a strategic decision. Look, that year that we went to the playoffs, look at how much money we spent on players. And look at how much money we made. Look at our profit margin. Now look at this year where we didn't spend that much. We were 6-11, but our profit was 5 times what it was the year we went to the playoffs and won a game or two, and then we're out. So you do get to the point of diminishing returns pretty quickly. You do need to have owners who are willing to lose money or not make as much money to make the kind of financial commitment necessary to have the best team possible right now. And ultimately, the fan base is stuck with whatever the secret strategy is that they're never going to come out and tell us about. Cal McNair is not going to hold a conference call with reporters in Houston during which he explains that I have carefully studied the profitability of this franchise over the last 10 years. And as it turns out, we made our lowest profits in the years we went to the playoffs. We make our highest profits in the years when we don't spend money on players, but we still make the same revenue. So, moving forward, we're not going to spend as much money as we did in the years that we made it to the playoffs. And if we don't make it to the playoffs, at least you understand why we have chosen this path. They're never going to admit to that. But how could it be a responsible business that's focused on the bottom line if they're not at least thinking about those things? And my guess is most, if not all, franchises do at some point.
That's the thing about it. In businesses, what's the idea of a business is mainly to make a profit, right? To make some money. So you can't fault an owner for spending, however much it was to buy this team, and now it's worth substantially more, that if they want to make money, it's their business, they're allowed to do that. So along the way, it's like any other business. How much money do you put into it that makes your bottom line a little lighter? I mean, that's what this comes down to. And again, I think, and it all depends on an owner and money, and they all say, oh, these owners are all billionaires. Well, okay, that doesn't mean they don't want more. Or maybe some of them some do have the thought process, well, I have enough money, man, I want to build a championship. I don't care if I make just $1. Man, if I hold that Lombardi trophy, that's everything to me. And because they got, billions of dollars sitting in their bank account, so it doesn't really matter. So it all comes down to the individual owner and what they think. They're the ones setting the parameters every year, right? Or putting the trust in somebody else to say, okay, where's the salary cap? Well, this is what we're spending. We're not going over this, and we're going to be fine with this. This is what we're doing elsewhere in the facility as far as money that we're spending or not spending. And you weigh that against, if you're not winning, are your fans still buying tickets? Are the fans still buying paraphernalia, memorabilia from the team? All that goes into the computer, and it spits out numbers. So, I mean, we can go round and round on this. It's just what the owner ultimately wants. Ultimately, I'm sure they'd love to make a lot of money and win championships. Sometimes those two things don't coincide.
And sometimes you're one of the clearly worst teams in your conference with no path to being competitive, so you just dog paddle for a year or 2 or 3 until enough players mature to the point where they're good enough to get it done, which is what the Texans may be doing.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.